Okay,
I,
got it.
so I ordered more.
What kind of masks are they?
They are KN95s. So they're the ones that through that whole kind of state program that started out as a bit of a fiasco. So what they did is they sent an email to most directors, but not all in Colorado. They actually sent one to me, but it's an email address that I've never had, so I don't know how they got that. And then they made a list of all the libraries in Colorado that supposedly had masks to hand out, even though half of them had never heard of it before. And then they published the list both in a press release and they, talked about it on Colorado Public Radio and etc. And most of us were like, how nice we're supposed to have these masks that we don't have. So we were actually lucky we weren't on the initial list because libraries who were on the list really had people who were angry at them. Although most of them, if they didn't have masks, it's because they found out about it at the same time as the public. So luckily, I will say that the state regrouped really quickly because within 2 days we had lots of masks. So this is the original form. It looked like someone had just thrown this together because the original form really had no information on it. We filled out one of those form data things and it even had like 3 lines for addresses. And if you didn't need all 3 lines, it didn't matter. You had to fill other stuff in. So, I filled out the whole library address and then put like, have a nice day and then something else on the other one. So we did get a whole bunch of masks. They are very small. They are an adult standard size. They come in a 3M package, but they're made in China and they are similar to other KN95s, except that the straps are super short, like the ear straps, and not particularly stretchy. So larger adults are not finding them to be really useful. They fit tweens and teens great. So if we end up with extras, if it goes on for a while and we're ending up with extras, I will probably contact some schools and see if they are interested in them. Because we've found that older tweens and teens, they fit really well. So.
And currently, because I teach at Indian Peaks, so what we have are, the disposable ones.
Yeah, we have those too, but these are the KN95.
Those are the good ones. Yeah. So I think that.
Yeah. So if we do have extras, I will make sure that I let some schools know.
Yeah.
Because they do run small. And we had a couple of staff members that tried them on their upper elementary kids, and the earpieces fit, but the masks were too big. So.
Okay.
So small adults and teens, they're really good for. Your basic average adult can wear them, but your ears hurt after a while. So,
I know, because we use them at school, and so
yeah, they're just really short. The ear thing, so
yes.
So we've seen people sitting there stretching them back and forth, but it's still nice to have them. And they did send us also some disposable masks that are much nicer than the ones we have now. The state sent them. They actually are they're not a surgical mask, but they're called a medical procedure mask. Okay. So they're white. They're thicker and softer than those disposable blue ones.
Okay.
So we do have some of those if people need those as well. So
good.
It's been good. We have them at all of our public services desks. We also have them in our computer lab for folks that often come in who often are not, connected to the internet. Mm-hmm. So come in. So we started out handing a couple at a time, except if people need more, we give them more. People have larger families or some of our folks who are experiencing homelessness, et cetera, who ask for more, we just give them more. So
yeah. No, I went in, I believe it was Friday. That was the day that you got the
yeah, we got them like really late Thursday, I think. So we put them out Friday. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there was a couple, they're homebound and they're in their 90s. So I just took some over because they had the person that they had working had come over before, but they were out, and then he had to leave, and so he couldn't be there. And so I'm like, I'll just take them to you.
That's a good idea though. We should send some out with our volunteers that deliver to the homebound. Yeah. Send some with them. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So
it was nice. We have been able to pick that practice back up, even though we didn't do it at the beginning of COVID, but
I just had to drop it in my Ziploc bag and I had gloves on and
but we have quite a few patrons that expect respect homebound deliveries and value them. And then we have some volunteers who really miss delivering. So they can't quite sit down and chat like they used to, but
yeah.
But it's still,
Do we have a vice president?
I think we should get the meeting started. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, we're giving up.
Well, we don't know if Mark can get in or not yet. So
Yeah, no, I want to just confirm we're all good with that.
yeah, go ahead and kick it off. Yeah.
I figure it's worth waiting 15 minutes for somebody, but beyond.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we gave him.
Let's
15
get moving.
All right. Well, I'm calling the meeting to order then at 7:14 p.m. Does that everyone have that same time?
Yep.
Okay. And Cynthia, are you taking notes or who's you are?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I had the agenda pulled up. Did anybody have any changes to last month's agenda?
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm pulling up as we speak then. Hold up.
Yeah.
Many windows.
We need to welcome Susie here.
We
Oh,
do.
that's our kickoff. I apologize, Susie. My mistake. I was not on my game here. I wasn't quite ready to step in. Sorry. So welcome, Susie. We're very excited to have you. I think that last time we were in person, you were going to attend, but then something happened or got like you were assigned
meeting.
December,
So
right?
let me tell you, so it was a we had to have a special meeting because we canceled the meeting on Tuesday. So there were just some things that we had to get through. So we had a council meeting.
Okay.
And tonight is actually our legislative meeting with our state representatives. So I'm I'm like, no, I'm not missing the library board meeting.
And then we're late.
I just have to log out at 8:30 so I can get on to that one. So
Okay, well, it's an extra good thing to start it.
yes, but no, I'm very happy to be here. I don't have anything scripted or but I'm Susie Hidalgo Faring, representative for Ward 3 and your new liaison. So.
Awesome.
And we are really excited that you're an educator. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I also had a question for you. You chose this as this is the one you wanted more than any other.
It was a high priority for me. I think if not the first one, the second one, just because, I teach at a Title I school. I've been in the profession for 28 years. The work that we've done, in our classrooms and just my dependence on the library, our students' dependence on the library has been essential throughout my entire career. So, I felt like I had some expertise to help bring to the table, as well as, hopefully to be a strong advocate for the library. And
Great.
Yeah.
so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. And I apologize for not seeing that was our first item on the agenda, but
You're fine.
I'm excited to meet you. Okay, so public comments. Did that person ended up being Mark, right? So we have no public.
that was Mark. We have no public.
We have no Mark and we have no
Again,
public.
No Mark either.
We have no.
I told him to choose another. I know he has more than one email. I told him to choose another login. So he should be able to get in. If the other one is stuck in cyberspace somewhere, he should.
So odd. I've never had that happen. Okay. All right. Well, now on to approval of the minutes from December 20th. Did anyone have any changes they wanted to see made? Going once, going twice.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Yeah, these are very extensive meeting minutes. Nicely done. If we have no changes, that's impressive work. Okay, so you move to approve the minutes, Scott?
I did.
Okay, is there a second?
You're gonna have to second.
Okay, I second. Why do I have to, what is there a rule? Oh, because
I wasn't there.
You
I
were
wrote them.
there.
there, you wrote them, and Susie wasn't there. Okay, that
Yeah.
wasn't me. There we go. You did that math really fast, Katie. Good job. All right, with it. Excellent. Okay, the minutes are approved, and now I'm pulling. Hold on, I gotta go back between pictures. Okay, reports and information items. Library director report.
That's me.
Lay
Okay.
it on us.
Several things, and some things fall into other categories. I'll follow the minutes or follow the agenda. Status of sorter purchase. We are purchasing a huge machine, that large automated materials handler. We have made a decision on which vendor. I'm not supposed to say it out loud because the contract is not finalized through purchasing yet, but we are very happy with our decision. We did call we really had a tight race between two vendors for this hundreds of thousands of dollars product. So we did contact quite a few libraries for references just to see. They looked equal on paper, but talking to folks who have actually used them makes a big difference. And they did have some different things to say about them in terms of customer service, et cetera. So that's becoming shortly. Actually, it'll take about 12 weeks probably because of supply chain delays. But when that happens, we'll have a lot of growing efficiencies in the way that we process our materials. So I'm happy to say that we have newly hired a couple of staff members. We do finally have a new PR and marketing person who is actually not new to the city. But Heidi Reitmeyer is going to come from the city's PR department and be part of our library's PR and marketing efforts, which is awesome. And she'll be starting very shortly to replace Teresa Myers that's been gone since last April. So we have really missed having a dedicated PR and marketing person.
So is she going to be full-time?
She's 3/4 time, just the same way Teresa was. She's 3/4 time with the library and 1/4 of her time is with the city manager's office. So she's still the one that'll be doing city line, city talk, some of those things, but 75% of her time will be with the library.
You know, if if it comes down to you or Harold, who's going to win that one, right?
No, I think I feel confident that we'll be fine. So.
All right.
Can I go back to just a quick question about the sorter? I didn't get in fast enough. I was unmuting.
Okay.
Do you have to actually shut down for some period of time when the installation happens?
Nope.
Oh, good.
We can continue to, because this is going to just automate the processes that we are now doing by hand. We will just do them by hand until it's up. So, no, we'll have a little bit of inconvenience. There's a little construction that has to be done in the circulation area. We have to, cut a few holes in the wall because they have these induction points that look kind of like a bank teller, et cetera. But we're so used to construction now that we don't plan to blink when that happens. So it'll be fine. It just takes a little while because of, like I said, supply chain things like everything else now. So hopefully that'll get in sooner rather than later. So we have another newly hired staff member. We have a computer lab coordinator that we had kind of created out of 2 other positions that were no longer being used. So Hannah Sites, S-I-T-E-S is her name. She's been working as a temp employee. She is finishing up her library degree. She has mad technical skills and has a great deal of compassion for the folks who are struggling to use computers in our computer lab. So we're looking forward to have her coordinate things. Our computer lab is definitely moving. We are making progress in that area. If you go up on our 2nd floor, you'll see an area as you go up to the top of the steps toward the reference desk and make a right toward the south end of the building. You'll see an area that looks like it's all torn up because it is. We took some old so-called compact shelving out there. Compact shelving is actually that enormous shelving that moves on rails. We finally got all of it down except the rails, which apparently are embedded in the concrete. So the bad part about that is they have to be kind of sawn out of the concrete so we can carpet that area of the floor and use that as a lab. The good part is, if you can call it that, is that we just found out probably 2 weeks ago that our carpet project and repair project for our 2nd floor is going to start happening pretty soon. So we didn't think according to the plan, we knew it could be anywhere between 2022 and 2026. We're happy to have it sooner rather than later. I feel that we're pretty, like I said, we're pretty used to construction projects. We do not expect the same level of infrastructure issues on the 2nd floor that we experienced on the 1st floor. For those of you who are here, it was a 6-month-long project that should have been a relatively short carpeting project. We don't expect it to be that bad. Once again, with supply chain issues, the carpet that we ordered is a little bit late coming in. We look at this project probably happening mostly in the month of March, and it'll affect the upstairs of the library. So at different points, there will be different parts of the upstairs of the library blocked off. Some folks are going to have to put some things on hold. It won't affect anything downstairs, nothing in children's lobby etc. But we will have some more grinding and crack repairs and things. We don't know the extent of the cracking upstairs until the carpet squares come off. We looked at a lot of them. Several of us on staff who have too much curiosity pried up a lot of carpet squares with butter knives to see what was underneath, to see if we had the same cracking. And there are quite a few cracks, but they don't appear to be, or they didn't appear to be at the time, as severe as the ones downstairs. So I asked one of the construction guys that stopped in today, I said, are we still winning? Do we still have the worst cracks, or is Safety and Justice Building worse than ours? They're in there now. And they said, no, we still win. So they said, Safety and Justice Building has quite a few cracks on the first floor, but they did not extend to the second floor. So same construction crews, same carpet folks, same movers. So the staff will be using carts from the professional movers, but doing a lot of the moving of the materials ourselves. We found that it's just easier in the long run because we know how to keep them in order when we move them and not try and put it back together like a puzzle whose pieces have spilled on the floor. So it will be some work for staff, but we have a lot of increased traffic over what we had for quite a while, but we still aren't up to our full amount of traffic in the building. So it probably is a better time to do it than post-COVID, where we hope we'll have our full complement of folks back. So I feel that we've been able to take advantage of these construction projects to be able to move some things that are much nicer moved by professional movers, including a bunch of shelving, et cetera. So it's allowed us to do some rearranging. It's allowed us to create the teen space downstairs, and now it'll allow us to create a computer lab, a very spacious computer lab area upstairs, which we are still planning to surround with those glass panels. So it will not be bricks and mortar walls, but it will have a surround to it. And we're looking at some creative ways to handle the power and data for that area. And one of the products we're looking into that I've wanted to use for like 5 years is, it looks like a roll of tape, but it's super, super wafer thin power that you can put right under your carpet squares. So it's really cool. So looking at that, Mark says, not having any luck starting meeting without me. I'll see it later on YouTube. Okay. 1 second. Use a different computer. He doesn't need a different computer. He needs a different login. Let's see. Other than that, there's a few things that come up on my plate later, but we've just been busy and still experiencing some issues with, it kind of goes up and down with folks who don't want to wear masks in the building. So that's still been something that's been plaguing staff a bit. We spend a lot of time following people around, telling them to put their masks on. One person asked to speak with the director last week, and he said, there's some woman that's following me around, and she's just looking for people that don't have masks on. I said that's her job. That's sort of our security attendants. So still battling that a little bit. So other than that, I think things are going as well as could be expected. We've had a lot of staff out this week, not as bad. The previous 2 weeks, we had a lot of staff out who either had COVID or had been exposed. So at one point, I don't know, about a week and a half ago, I think we had 12 people out. So
that was my question, because my school has just been on skeleton crew, as I'm sure you've heard, and I was just wondering how you manage, like what your cutoff is. And
we've been so careful that we've had a lot of folks that have contracted COVID over this almost 2-year span. We've had only 2 that weren't sure where they got it. Everyone else got it somewhere else other than the library. So we have been really rigid since the beginning on the sanitizing, the hand washing, the distancing, the masks, et cetera. And I think, we take so many precautions. I think it's, for the most part, it's paid off. So we've still had to have some people isolate who've been next to people, but we've really tried to take as many precautions as we can. With Omicron, it's kind of, who knows? We keep encouraging people, if you so much as sniffle, please stay home.
Yeah. What is your contingency plan if you get down to just too few staff? Like, what's your?
We've had that. We had that briefly in children's about a week and a half ago, and we did some juggling with who's at the desk. We went down to 1 person in the back, 1 person only at the desk. We had backups from other departments if it really got to that. And there were a few days when we when we were down by 2 hours a day in the children's department. So we're just doing the best we can. Luckily, we've not, knock on wood, we've not been out so many people that we can't cover. So we're just a little thinly covered sometimes. So
Yeah, I'm glad for you though. That's
we did
really
have to have we had to have some custodial help because one of our custodians was out for a few weeks, and so we've had some issues like everybody else. But luckily, our frontline staff has done, knock on wood, once again, has done extremely well. So, and I know that they have new studies saying plexiglass doesn't help. I think it helps. I think it helps actually for probably the common cold flu stuff, if not COVID. So doing the best we can, and we're all. I feel like one of our employees held up her hands and she said she feels like she every pore she has is full of Lysol and sanitizer. So I think that's probably true.
It's a great team effort.
Yep.
Nancy, I have a question going back up one
Yeah.
to security issues. I also want to give a caveat. I have a sick baby crying in the background. I think
Okay.
she's settled now. So if I'm making faces,
It's fine.
just not at what anyone's saying. So you said there's still some issues with masking. Last meeting, we talked more about other security incidences, just an uptick overall. Are you still seeing that overall uptick?
Yeah. We have, as far as probably the amount of incidents, although I will say since last month, the incidents have been a lot more minor in their scale. So it's just, a lot of it this month has just been that we do have still a continued winter influx of folks experiencing homelessness and mental illness. And I guess the difference between now and between a couple years ago is that we used to have more kind of a bevy of regulars that we would get to know, and that would make things go more smoothly as we got to know them and they got to know us and what the rules were, et cetera. And now it seems like we just have new folks every day. So I would say that this month we've had far fewer incidents that are really combative. We've had more just, this past week, it's been more folks that are carrying a lot of stuff, as in multiple suitcases, bags, et cetera, and having to find places to stash them. So still lots of incidents, but I would say this month it's been more normal incidents that sometimes usually just require a conversation. So that's better than last month.
And is the Hope Center, right? Hope, am I getting that right? The
Hope Shelter is open.
Is it open like overlapping hours, or are they staggered? Like, are people kind of not able to be there?
Well, I mean, there are folks who will go use the shelter. I will say that we have a lot of contact with the good folks at the Hope Shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And the folks that we see currently are not the same crowd that they're getting at the shelter, and that the shelter's crowd has been more predictable and stable than has ours. So they've had more of the regulars and more of the regulars that we used to see.
Okay.
And we just have a lot of new people, but that's not at all unusual in January for public libraries where it's cold either. So
Right. Okay.
And luckily we do have, this is something we do have a full-time campus supervisor. We did not have that when I got here. We just had one part-time one. So we are covered not every hour the library is open, but we are covered more hours. So it is really helpful. It's not that the staff don't handle incidents on their own, they do, but it is really helpful to have someone who really maintains our database of our incidents. And Jake is fabulous. He's really amazing at, he can recognize people. You think it's hard with masks, he can recognize people just by the way they walk. So he sees someone walk up with like a mask and a hat pulled down, and a black hoodie and sweatpants, and he's like, oh, I know who that is from their walk. So just keeping an eye on things and developing good, and he's developed some really good relationships with most of our patrons. So that's helpful.
I remember reading about some libraries actually having like social workers on staff.
I would love it. If we had the space, I've actually offered to sacrifice one of our study rooms. I would love to. What most libraries do who have this, they don't necessarily hire a social worker using library funds, but they offer to house a social worker from an area agency or social workers. So it is a wonderful thing. Many libraries do it, large and small now.
Uh-huh.
And it's a wonderful resource for folks who come in who may not be comfortable necessarily, being sent from place to place to receive information on social services. So it really is something that, if we are able to do some expansion in the future, I would love to include that.
Is it something that would be like, we just need to put the word out and then people could like just apply to use that space, or?
No, we don't really have, I mean, we just don't have a space at the moment.
Oh, I thought you said you had.
No, I said I would try to do it, but all we have almost no space. We have 2 study rooms that are, glass all the way around, which gives people no privacy whatsoever, et cetera.
Right.
And you really need an office area. It would be the type of thing that we'd have to, basically give up our conference room to be able to set somebody up in an area where at least someone can have, a dignified and private conversation with them.
Right.
Instead of being in a fishbowl. So definitely something we've looked at though, because like I said, libraries large and small really do use these. I was able to attract some folks when I was in Kern County because we had a huge main library building and we had space and social services needed space. We were able to basically trade some space for services. And that was a nice thing.
Okay, well, we'll bookmark it
There you go.
on the wish list. Okay. Anything else, Nancy? Are you good?
Not yet. Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
So Friends of the Library, who went? Did we have a
Katie.
meeting? Did they meet between last time? I don't know.
Katie, was that you?
No.
On the
No.
sign up sheet, we have it as January 26th.
Yeah, we
That's
don't
what I
have one
was
till,
thinking maybe
yeah, I
like-
guess we didn't have one since last time.
It's Wednesday then, right? Would that be
This
Wednesday?
this coming one.
There,
Yep.
Tomorrow?
is their meeting virtual?
Yes, it is. Who's
I don't have that information.
who? I don't know who is going this month.
Is it Tuesday?
It's supposed to be me.
Okay, Katie,
It's
are you
supposed
gonna?
to be, me. I should be able to make it if
Okay.
it's virtual.
Let me send you all of the stuff then for the virtual meeting, and then you can let me know if for some reason you can't do it.
Okay.
We also talk about the future meetings right now.
Yes, we can.
Because we do have a virtual sign up sheet and I'm realizing there's no chat function in this Zoom. So I can't like throw it in.
If you go to,
But you sent it recently.
I have sent it before. So everyone has access. I guess I can email it out, right? Just none of you all can respond.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
email it
I'm
to the whole
gonna
group.
email it right now I'm gonna continue on.
And just so you know, scheduling is not something that's usually considered an issue for Open Meetings Act. You're not talking about anything else but when to have a meeting or when to put something on your schedule. That's usually okay.
Great. Okay, I just let me make sure I got the right link. Sorry, just 1 second.
are they gonna have their meetings on Zoom indefinitely? Do we know?
No, they really love to meet in person, but we've been encouraging everyone, during this period of rampant COVID Omicron to meet virtually when possible.
Yeah.
So it will not be forever.
Well, I was wondering, just because I'm more able to do it if it's Zoom. So if there was one, like I'm kind of like the sub or whatever, but if they were on Zoom, I could tap in for a month if that was helpful.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just because it's
I'm assuming that at least their February meeting will be on Zoom.
Okay, but I don't want to, if it's also easier for other people, I don't want to like step on any toes. I'm just trying to pitch in a little extra if I can.
I'm signed up right now and I just emailed everyone the link.
Okay.
So hopefully everyone has it. I'm signed up for
Great.
February. I'm fairly flexible.
Can she email everyone?
She can email everyone. They just can't all reply all.
Ah, gotcha.
You
Cool.
can, it's just informational. Normally information concerning things like schedules are not an issue.
Good. All right.
So I think you can even reply all if it's scheduling a meeting. There's some kind of loophole, but most of the time, just info. If you just send info out and just remind people, don't reply all, you're fine. Especially concerning scheduling. So basically, I mean, I always receive, because I always attend all the meetings, I always receive all of the friends info. So I just need to make sure I have access to the schedule in advance of who's signed up, so I know who to send the info to.
Yeah, I think you're on here, Nancy. Oh, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, you have access.
Yep.
Cool. I'm signed up for February, Catherine. I'm happy to We can just play that one by ear too. I can keep it out in my calendar for right now. And if I need to, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, you wanna, I'll just put myself on, you know, I just put if on Zoom. Question mark, is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. March.
Great. And then Nancy, you'll just email whoever's on it, or you'll just continue to email who's ever on it for the info. Okay. Hey, it looks like we're still, I can sign up. I can do May. I think we're still missing March and June. It's not urgent, obviously, but the spots are open right now.
Okay.
When time comes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Because I skipped last month, so I am, whenever you need me, I'm available. So
How about March 30th?
that's fine.
Okay. At March 30th. Okay.
That would keep the pattern alive as well.
All right. I will let the friends know then.
Cool. All right, thank you. Okay, anything else on that front? Are we good?
Yep.
All right, let me get back to the agenda. Okay, I think I just closed it. And I opened the other thing, sorry. So Susie, I'm not sure where you're at. I think you're listed as next, but I don't know if you have any updates for us at this point.
You know, I guess what so I do have some things that are, you know, that council is working on that, you know, if you all would like to hear, you know, we do have the Costco project. We had to approve some allocation change just because of cost of materials for the housing component of the development. The other one, and I've been working with a subcommittee, and I don't know if there was somebody from the library who attended, but for the sugar beet mill redevelopment, there's a group that we're working with, Growing Up Boulder. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do collaborate with students, schools for redesign projects, design thinking. And so one of the things that we're going to work on is with my school, or, you know, St. Vrain, and, you know, I'm kind of pushing my school, but, and the project is actually having students work on contributing to, you know, something that they envision, that they would see, that they would hold as value, to have in that, whether it be a community space, sometime, you know, gardening or playground. I mean, really, it'll be up to what the group decides. So there, you know, so we have kind of that going on the side. I haven't seen any, actually, I think there was an email that came out today or yesterday. I'll have to look through. So I'll have more information the next time around, but I think, you know, things are starting to take shape in that project. Something
Just so
else,
you know, Susie, Claire Stedholm, our head of children and teens, did attend that meeting.
who did?
Claire, who's our head of children.
Yes.
Claire attended the meeting.
Yes, that's right. I knew there was somebody with connection to the library that was there. Couple of other things, something that is going to be coming down the pike in a couple of weeks, that we'll be discussing, for anyone who's passionate about this or has some opinions or concerns about this, are the smart meters, the AMI. You know, folks that I've heard that are very favorable to it are very, very favorable, and then some that, you know, are really, you know, who've had had health impacts because of the exposure. So, you know, we're hearing both sides of the whole AMI discussion and debate. But that will be coming down. So for any folks who have, you know, who want to share some concerns or support, you know, definitely express your ideas during our public invited to be heard, you know, either tomorrow, or we'll be discussing it on the in the calendar in 2 weeks, or not this week, next week. Other things, you know, we had the Rivertown annexation that we recently approved. And, you know, we're working with the developer. We shared ideas of really kind of creating that buffer between natural space and the actual development. And so I don't, I guess, really, if anybody has any questions on any of those projects that have come forward, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Does the new metering system apply only to private homes, or is it also to public buildings? Like, would the library be impacted in any way with it?
I don't know. I don't think so. Is that Nancy? I don't think so. Yeah, so she's nodding as well. So yeah, I thought it was just private. We were just looking at housing. So we're going to be discussing an opt-out program as well for folks who don't want to have the smart meter on their property. So, and we were discussing housing,
right? That
What's
comes
that?
out. I read, I'm on the Sustainable Resilient Longmont Committee too. And so
Yes.
we were talking about it. And I think what I read was right now, at least as proposed, there's a fee
There's
if you
yes.
choose the opt-out, right? So,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's just for people to consider. Okay.
So,
Well, as long as it doesn't impact the library, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, these projects is how, impact to the library in the future. We would have more with Costco, we'd have more, just people kind of coming through the housing. We're expanding the housing. So we'll be seeing a surge of population after some of these projects are completed. So.
Is there an estimated number of increased folks that would literally come to the community anew as opposed to just move within the communard? Is that would be influential in terms of our?
Yeah, so I know that the for the Rivertown, I heard of 315 units that would be expanded to. I don't know the exact number for the Costco, but there is a whole affordable housing component that goes with it. So we would see increase, because as people are moving from one area to another, there'll be other people coming in and taking those homes as well. So.
Susie, is the Rivertown the one next to Rogers Grove? Is that project? Okay.
It is. Sure. Yes. Yeah, it's right behind Airborne, over, I think there's another business just to the west of there. And so it'll sit behind there. Airborne and that other Calibration, I think. I can't remember what the name of the business was. But yeah, that's all I have for now. And then I think, if there's something that you want me to make sure I have background on, or, just, let me know, shoot me an email, hey, can you find out more about such and such? And then I can be happy to bring it forward.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy, I just wonder if any of those things would be something to bring to the attention of the, I forget her name, the woman who's doing the feasibility study, just in terms of.
Annie, yeah, it might be.
If she already factored it in, or if.
She's factoring in so many things right now. So.
Right. Well, that, and I was also thinking with the social worker, just if that's kind of on her radar too, wanting some space for that. So.
We've talked about space. Well, I'll do that in a second. That's feasibility study.
Yeah. Just came to mind. Okay. Well, let's see. We're segueing into update on feasibility study, as long as you feel complete.
I feel like we're making a lot of progress now on the feasibility study. It may not seem like it to you guys out there, but it is behind the scenes anyway. So basically, she had started, Annie, who's our consultant, had started with the previous consultant's work and had analyzed all of that, but some of it we had to basically toss out and start over. There were some things that we just didn't feel kind of accurately portrayed the situation here. And part of it is that library stats, like nationwide, there are online portals for nationwide library stats, but the previous consultant was not using those. They were using different individual stats, which is kind of apples to oranges, because they were comparing some 2017 numbers, 2018 numbers to 2019 numbers, et cetera. So I guess the good part about having to use 2019 numbers, which is what we're doing now, because those are the last, probably the most accurate numbers we have, because 2020 and 2021 stats do not resemble anything before the pandemic. So luckily it's been long enough so that the national portal of the Institute for Museum and Library Services has everybody's 2019 stats up in the same format in the same place. So that was really helpful going to those. So the previous study kind of started to come up with some what we call LOS standards, which are level of service standards. And what those mean are, what is a library standard? What is a good standard for square footage per person, for circulation per person, for collection per person, for the amount of dollars spent in a library budget per person, et cetera. I guess the thing that's hard to sometimes make people understand is that there is no national standard for these things at all. There are some states that have their own standards. Wisconsin, I know, was one for a long time that had its own standards established, especially for things like, square footage you should have per person, et cetera. Most states have nothing. So what you end up doing is looking at an awful lot of peer libraries, first determining what makes them a peer library. Not looking, for example, we wouldn't necessarily compare ourselves to another library that has a similar budget or a similar demographic, but is a county library system with 15 branches. So you're trying to get true peer libraries that have several parameters in common, if not all. So we ended up totally redoing the chart of peer libraries and looking at libraries to establish level of service standards. First in the category of population, just looking at, who has approximately 95,000 to 110,000 people in their area, is a district library or a city or a municipal library, and what do their stats look like consequently. Then looking at libraries that have between 110 and 130,000 people, which is supposedly what Longmont's build out looks like. So what does it look like, at least in 2019 dollars, to finance a library that is intended for a larger population? And then taking a look at kind of our bang for the buck, which is looking at other libraries with the same budget and looking at what we are doing with that amount of money as compared to what they are doing. So we've got all three of those things going. So, but instead of looking at like many libraries do at these level of service standards and then figuring out, you establish these level of service standards and then you figure out what governance and service delivery model might match those. We're going the opposite direction. What that means is instead, Annie Seeger, the consultant, she's evaluating each governance and service delivery model on its options and understanding what the funding capacity is of each of these. For example, a district or a regional or a municipal library. And then looking at that range and then looking at those options based on that level of service that's attainable with each one. So in other words, if you're asking voters for a library district or a cultural district or a levy, they know what they're buying with these new dollars. So that's kind of confusing, but I don't think it'll be when the report is out. So that's what we're looking at doing. We have some big charts. I can't share it all with you yet without agendizing a meeting, but we're looking to have the financial modeling finished up as soon as this week. We will have several meetings with our core committee coming up in the next month. We do expect to be putting something on a city council agenda in the month of March for the consultant to present findings at that point. So it's taking a while to do this. It is very complex. I know it doesn't seem like it is, but for example, usage, like circulation in a library isn't just driven by spending. So you look at circulation dollars, but you say, okay, but that also depends not just on dollars, but on your collection size, by how many hours you're open, by how many facilities you have, et cetera. So also when you're doing kind of benchmarking analysis and you're looking at other at libraries that are peer libraries in other states, you have to look at people's spending power for per dollar. So you look at expenses, what $100,000 buys in Boulder is different than what 100,000 buys in Kentucky. So you have to definitely make those extrapolations too. So the financial analysis, like I said, is taking a while, but I think we've been going back and forth very frequently, and I think we're getting there. So it takes a while to come up with. I know it's taken a long time. COVID has presented some delays as well, but I think it's really important to get it right and really get it right, as in present an honest picture of what it is that we need and how much it costs, and how much it will cost to not just finance the library that we need right now, but a library moving forward. The last thing you want to do is present something that says, okay, you know, in order to be up there with our peers, we need to have the same amount that they have right now, and then not looking at what happens 5 years down the road. So we should have more shortly. Like I said, we've had a couple committee meetings coming up in this next month, and then I expect something to be on the council agenda.
Nancy, 2 questions.
Yeah.
So, okay, financial modeling this week, then meeting with the core committee, presenting to the city council in March. When will this group, do you have a date for when this group will see the report?
You know,
and
we
do you
can-
have,
well, I mean, we can't just give you a report and discuss it without having an agendized board meeting. So we have to get that sandwiched in between or sometime before the city council, but after the other meetings that finalize, or as much as possible, the report.
But if we're able to do that, the report is ready to go for us?
What's that? The report is not ready yet.
Okay.
But when the report is ready, yes, you can see it.
Okay, which will be before March.
Yes, it should be.
Okay, and then do you know when it will be more widely available?
No.
Besides, okay.
What's the rollout process? Are we like, we're the first group, and then do you have to present to city council, or how does it get
There
there?
are several different things that have to happen. First, let me see. Looking for my notes here. There are several different meetings that have to happen to discuss these, and some of them, I'm in there, Karen Roney's in there, Jim Golden from the city representing the financial aspects, Mark. We have kind of a smaller group first that's going to review the whole situation assessment and how the governance and service models that go along with these numbers. And then at that point, I am not at all opposed to either dedicate, if you're up for it, either dedicating a regular board meeting or having a special board meeting. And the thing is, if we are going to, discuss it as a group, we have to have an agenda and it has to be published. So I don't see any reason we can't do that after the initial committee goes through everything. I think it'd be a good idea actually to get some extra input. I can send out, at any time, if any of you are interested in seeing kind of our spreadsheet of peer libraries with some of the stats and how we compare ahead of time, I can certainly send that out I find it interesting.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
So once again, I can send it to you. We can discuss it in a future meeting. You just can't reply all when I send it out. But if you'd like to see what some of those stats look like that we're using in part to establish the levels of service standards on, then I can forward them to you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Susie, have you been given a whole background on this process at all, or is this the first year here?
I think you and I need to have a conversation about this, Susie.
No, so I did speak with Annie to offer input. I was one of the stakeholders. And so she gave me a lot of background, but from her perspective moving forward. I think, if you have historical contents that she didn't have, I'd love to sit down and chat about that. And then I did have coffee with Mark. So he also kind of gave me some, no, this is not the first time I'm hearing of it. So
No.
Okay, good. I was thinking that was a lot if you hadn't been brought up.
No, I've got it. Thanks.
It is a lot. It's just, it's hard to, like I said, it's hard. You want to make sure when you're looking at level of service standards, which are dependent on you choosing true peer libraries, that you get exactly that. And, I wish there were standards. I wish we could look something up and say, look, state of Colorado says, 1 square foot per person. We should have 100,000 square feet of library, but it does not. So that's where we have to do all this background work and try to establish those numbers ourselves. So, and obviously, just like any other statistical thing, you look at, there are the libraries that have the Shangri-La funding, and then there are the libraries that have, far below average. So you really try to throw out the lowest and the highest and look for a median to look what really is a number that you can base some decisions upon. So, for example, the first library I worked at was in Illinois. The town has about 42,000 people. The library is a 90,000 square foot building, and the budget's $8 million. So, our budget is half that. We have more than twice as many people. So, but I would not include that as a peer library, and because it's just not in the. I would like the funding to be peer, but it's just we're not trying to compare libraries that are completely different, but libraries that are of communities that have some similarities, at least in population or in demographics or in both. Often we're choosing libraries as peers who are in a suburban metropolitan area, for example, instead of a rural library that may have a very tiny budget and a very small circulation. So I will say our stats are really good. So when you look at the bang for the buck is really good. But I think what Annie is looking at and what we've been talking about for the last few years is that there is that tipping point that you reach where you can do more with less for a long time, and then you just do less. And it looks like from the numbers that in some areas we're starting to do less. So as our costs go up, as our costs for personnel and insurance and materials, et cetera, go up, if all things remain equal, we will be doing less moving forward. So that's what the impetus for the study is. More soon. I will be happy to send those stats out. Scott, you wanted them? Does everyone want them?
I would.
Okay.
I would. I'd also like to, as soon as possible, or as soon as the timing works with the report, devote a meeting. And this is, I guess, if Scott and Catherine and Katie agree, and really if Mark agrees.
I'm sure Mark does.
Yeah, if we can devote if we can devote the February meeting, because that will be late February if it's going to council in March.
Let me see what's going on, and I will let you know as soon as I have the report in hand. So.
Okay.
Great. Anything else on that front?
No, there's plenty.
All right. I don't know if this is Katie or you, but Mosher and Empson funds policy update.
We don't have an update because we don't have anything back from the city attorney yet.
Okay. Moving on. Boulder Library District update.
Same thing. I was not there, and Mark would be the one giving the update.
I do have a bit of their PowerPoint from the December meeting. Is that the meeting you're talking about, Scott? The advisory committee meeting December 16th.
No, we had one every other week. So
this is not that. This is the Boulder meeting.
This is the Boulder meeting.
This is Boulder.
Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Okay.
So it looks like on December 16th, they did have a meeting of the Boulder's district committee. So they had a staff presentation on looking at transitioning. They are contracting with the city for grounds and parking maintenance. But it says the city is interested to transition library specific support services as efficiently, practically, and quickly as possible. So they're trying to transition employees, IT, and finance. So those are just the basics of what you would do what you would transition to a district. So they presented a recommendation document to the city. They talk about some specifics about transitioning IT services and talking about employees and employment contracts, that the city's library employees at the beginning of the second year become library district employees. The first year after a successful election, the city employees would continue to receive support from city HR, IT, payroll, and finance. So some of those transitions for the employees wouldn't take place in a district until the second year. So they talk about a lot of details about accrued vacations and things like that transferring to the district. They talk about loan servicing. So it looks like they're making some progress moving
Did they
forward.
talk about area?
No, at least
we did get some information on that.
Okay, so the info that I had from this past meeting was mostly just about some of the technicalities of transferring insurance, including cybersecurity and employee insurance. Payback by the library district for services and operations will be a phased approach. So the library district may build reserves. Let's see. It's going to be April of 2024 by the time the library district collects property tax revenues for a full year. So just logistics, like the funding logistics. They didn't talk about area, or at least not in the notes that I had.
So a couple of our members from the library district committee went and talked to your equivalent at
To
the
David
Boulder
Farnan.
Library. Yep,
Yeah.
to David. And he said that they are not going to try to annex anything out in the county. That's going to be the city alone. And I
Oh,
think
that's new. That's new to me.
yeah,
Huh.
that's what I heard too. But I don't know if I buy that because I don't know if that's what the district and the city have said. I think that's what the library director is saying.
I'm going to go back to the district. There are complete district notes now that are online from December. So I'm going to go back to the rest of the notes and see
Worth
about that.
looking at.
Scott.
And if that's true,
Or I'm going to see David on Thursday. So
yeah, ask him. But
Yeah.
you know, I think the reason is that two things. One is that their council is unanimously approving doing a library district. So they, it's for them, it's a shoe-in. As long as they don't leave Boulder city limits.
Yep.
And if they go outside of city limits, then they have to get the commissioners involved. And I think they did some math and figured out, we're not going to get a whole lot more money compared to this huge revenue they're going to get from Boulder real estate, which is very, very high priced. And they're fine just saying, it's not worth the extra money we get for Niwan. It's just not worth it.
Well, and you also have the responsibility, when you are moving into those other areas and expectations of
Building a library.
building and staffing and stocking
Yep.
library branches.
So I think that's probably what the calculation was, if it's true. And if it is true, it does a couple things. One is it makes it much easier for us. For a second, it also takes the pressure off from a time perspective. So we may not have to try to get this onto the ballot this year, which was really sort of the push we had. And if it's true, so that if you could find out whether or not they're really going to do that, that would mean that we would have a
Well,
lot.
I do want to find out, and I want to find out, I can have Annie find out too,
Okay.
because it definitely affects any of her calculations.
Yes.
If we look at potentially serving a larger area than Longmont. So, because most of her projections are right now based on Longmont growth. So, that would have some change in the financials.
County group growth is going to be pretty minimal. That's it. Basically, unless you're in Niwot or Hygiene, you are limited to a 35-acre plot of land. So
it does affect the amount. It does obviously affect our level of service standards for staffing levels,
right.
Technology, collections, and space. So if we were to think about that, that is something.
And we might want to make the same calculation.
It's entirely possible, but that is something that should be included in her calculations if they are not thinking of annexing those spots.
I mean, if we can get the council behind this, Susie, because I know that right now we don't have all of you behind this. You, like Joan, I know, is reserving judgment. She equates us with metro districts.
Well, we don't have a this yet either, though. I mean, the feasibility study is not saying go forth and do a library district. It's saying this is one of the possibilities that would.
But there's a committee, but there's a library district committee group that does think that. So, there is very much an effort to make that happen. Whether the study believes it should happen or not, the study is going to give us information. But we truly believe that a district's going to give us a much better library, and that's been the case. And if the report doesn't say that, I'll have a lot of questions about the report, because every other report I've seen like this pretty much says that. So, but we'll see. We'll find out, right? So anyway, that's all for that.
All right.
Okay, and Susie, just you are up to speed on this whole thing. You feel good? Any questions? No? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Nancy, for all your work on that. We look forward to more info.
Me too.
I guess, did we bridge into the Longmont piece, or do you want to say more, Scott? The Longmont Library District Committee.
I'm done.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. All right. That takes us.
Maybe we'll leave to E until Mark's back with us, because I think he had some ideas on that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And he may want to just follow up with you or something after he watches the YouTube, I guess. So.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then the next thing actually was on my plate, the thank you to Tim Waters. we talked about trying to get the book from a local library, and I did put in an order in December, but Barbara Books hasn't gotten back to me yet. So I called him again today, and I guess it's kind of up to you all. If you want me to just get it from Amazon at this point, I can, but I feel bad because, I put in the order, and I guess I can buy the book for myself if, it comes in. I just don't want to stiff them the money since I already ordered it through them. They told me they were having supply chain issues with the holidays, but this is obviously extended longer maybe than they anticipated.
That is not atypical with publishers. We've had a lot of things that we ordered months ago coming in now. So
okay. Well, what do you think? Should I hang tight with Barbara Books? Just wait it out. Okay.
I'd rather wait and do local.
I would too.
Yeah, I just feel bad. I would feel bad being like, we're moving on. So Susie, just so you know, we were going to get a book to thank Tim. So, okay, well, I'll let you know if I hear back from them, and then I'll come up with a card that we could circulate. Would the easiest thing be to do a virtual card, or would you rather I leave one at the library that everybody could swing by and sign actually by hand? What's the preference for folks?
Whatever you like.
Tim's an old guy. He'll want paper.
Paper is nice.
I think it's more.
I'll deny saying that, by the way. Don't tell him.
I hope he's not watching stuff.
He'll laugh.
He's at the legislative joint legislative meeting right now.
Phew. Okay.
He'll laugh.
Yes. No. Okay. Well, I'll pick some. I'll choose a card at Barbara. I think they have some too, or whatever, somewhere downtown. And I'll just, Nancy, is there a good spot I can leave it in the library for folks to swing by and sign?
Yeah, just in the administrative office, just on the top of the desk, there's almost always a card for something there. So we'll make sure that something's right on top of the admin assistant's desk, right when you walk in.
Right when you are. Okay. All right. Cool. Sounds good. Well, I'm hoping I'll hear back from them soon. So, all right. And then next up, we have library board comments. Anyone have comments? Okay.
Mark is texting me.
Oh, maybe he has a comment. Good timing.
No, he said he was calling it. He just told me he was calling it a night. He can't get in. I can get into other people's meetings, but I can't get into this one. I want to know who else's meetings he's getting into.
He's that guy.
He's that guy.
Oh dear. Okay, tell him to stop crashing.
Stop trying.
Bombing or whatever it's called. Okay. Let's see. Well, new wish list items then for the Mosher Empson Fund.
Maybe we'll wait till Mark's here for that too. This is something that we had just started about. I don't have all the responses back from staff so far. Some things that we would have put on the wish list, we've been able to get in other, from other areas, other grants, other pots of money. So the sorter, was voted through by council. I don't know if the amount that they set aside for the sorter will cover all of it or not. So that may be something we need to come back for additional funds. We were able to find a fund that will pay for the glass panels surrounding the computer lab. That was another thing that we had talked about. So we're going to have to look for a new wish list. So we don't have a concrete item yet right now that we're just chomping at the bit for Mosher and Empson, but we will be making a wish list and having it. I'm glad that we've been able to, through some savings in other areas, be able to accomplish some of those things ourselves. But I do agree with what the board talked about earlier, which is trying to look for really large ticket things on which to spend those funds. And so we'll see what those are.
Sounds like a good plan. Any other thoughts?
It's really nice to be talking about these funds in way of a wish list, or to be hearing about them in terms of a wish list rather than procedures.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next on the list is annual report to council.
Oh, this is something that was on our board bylaws, that it used to be that pretty much every department did an annual report to council. That hasn't always been the case in the last few years because the council agendas have become so large as to be unwieldy. But we are going to start again doing at least a published and printed and disseminated short annual report. from the library. So we'll be using some of the stats that we do every spring for the state report. And many libraries publish, I have done this in other libraries, publish at least you hand it out at the library with like a front and back, kind of a colorful, fun way to present, how many masks did you hand out? How many computers were used? How many, different interesting kind of fun facts and stats about the library. And then we will be publishing that obviously online as well as paper. So it kind of in lieu of a formal, stand up there and give a report. We're trying to think of a little bit more interesting way to disseminate that information, just to make sure that we put that out at least once a year to let the community as a whole, or at least those who pay attention to things that come out of the library, what we do, so, and how much of it.
In the past, Nancy, we've actually seen that before you did it, and so that we could say like, what about this? What about, so there were a few things on there that like we really wanted to remind the council of, or like keep front of mind for them. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but
it is. I think there's just been fewer folks doing just a general, unless there's a specific issue, doing general presentations just because of the time that it takes and the amount on the agendas. So
yeah, we haven't. I remember the one from most recently was nice. It was colorful. It was like a State of the Union kind of thing.
We'll go back. Yeah, that's exactly it, Katie. So we'll go back to doing those. Most of my time here has been COVID, so we have not done a state of the COVID library report. But this year we decided we don't know how long this is going to last. So darn it, we're going to do a report anyway and highlight some of the more interesting things. How many online programs do we have? How many text? Oh my gosh, our text to librarian program has gone crazy. So I mean, how many people text the library on a daily basis to ask questions? It's a lot. So and my phone pings. Yeah. So
the
my
things
phone
that are
pings
most
every time we have a
important to
text.
the library, the things that are most important to the library that we want to keep around, or like make sure council knows that they were implemented and they're great and we don't want them to go away, things like that.
I think also highlighting things like our new team space and our new computer lab and how we're able to expand those, et cetera. So
yeah.
So we'll be back to doing that, COVID or no COVID. So.
Okay. All right. Feel good on that?
Yep.
All right, future meeting status, virtual or in person. I'm not sure if we want to have this discussion without Mark. I feel like he may have some feelings now that he got blocked, but so I don't know how to handle that because we have to probably make a decision and we can't have an online conversation.
Well, you can have an online conversation about scheduling meetings. That is okay.
About the nature of the meeting, is that count?
I'm not sure. The actual scheduling, probably, because scheduling meetings does.
Well, the question
I
to ask
want to
is,
point out that next February 21st is President's Day.
Oh,
good catch.
So, so I don't know when we want to have our February meeting, but it's another holiday.
That's right. They fell like right on that last time too. I guess we could go to the 28th.
So for me, that's kind of an issue because I had to cut short a Tinkermill board meeting tonight that I was on.
Yeah.
Because this got moved on top of it. So, and Susie is like cutting, she's supposed to be somewhere else too. So we need to plan that. For second of all, virtual meetings right now, I think make more sense.
They do.
Just because Omicron, until that is passed, I don't see any reason. Nothing against you guys, but I just don't want to be in a room with other people unless I absolutely have to.
And
I personally will
agree.
not go to an in-person meeting. I can't.
We just to let you know, we have not been scheduled. We don't even have staff meetings in person right now. I mean, we have those two little spaces we have, the boardroom and the conference room, are the most airless rooms you've ever been in. So we just don't. And also our boardroom is full of boxes of masks right now. And the conference room is going to be shortly full of other stuff from upstairs. We have to displace a whole bunch of upstairs stuff for the carpet project. So it's going to be in the conference room. The computer lab is going to be in the meeting room. So I would say we'll probably be virtual for at least the next two meetings.
Good.
just because I don't really have a space unless I stick you in the middle of the room. So.
Plus, this is the first time I think I've ever actually seen Catherine's face.
Oh, that's true. Oh my
So-
gosh, 'cause you joined during COVID times.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so
That's
it's nice
true.
to see you
Well,
again.
I really feel like I should have tried a little harder here. I wear a mask all the time at school, so I don't even think about the bottom half of my face anymore, like it doesn't exist.
It's absolutely true. All of us feel that way. So I would say count on at least February and March as being virtual meetings, because we literally probably have no place to put you if we wanted to. And I don't think it's smart to stuff you in one of those tiny little stuffy rooms.
Good.
Should we just table this then and
Yes,
instead focus on a online conversation about the date, which seems more
yes,
challenging? Okay.
yes.
So-
I think, well, the President's Day is the 21st, right? So is that the third? I have to look at the calendar. Because normal. Shoot.
It is the third Monday.
It is.
The 28th would be the fourth.
Yeah. Which I know some folks do have a conflict on the 4th, which is why we moved it to the 3rd. So, I mean, I personally don't care if I have a meeting on President's Day when I'm off or not, but some people might.
I'm indifferent if it's on a holiday or not. So
I don't care.
I could go either way, but I guess I wonder about the precedent. I feel like if it's a federal holiday, we shouldn't probably meet just because the public, part of that. I don't know.
Well, I'll send something around.
Is there another?
Not as strong.
In the past,
feeling.
we've done it on like a Thursday.
Oh, a different
Could
day?
we do like the 24th?
Do you want me to send out like a doodle poll? Do you guys?
Yeah.
that's a good
I'll
idea.
do that.
Yeah,
I will send out a doodle poll with some alternate dates.
Yeah, because I know Tuesdays are bad, but we have done it on another day of the week.
I think the doodle polls are the easiest way to go though, because then everybody can weigh in on when they're available. So I don't have a problem doing that.
Good call.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other comments or anything anyone wants to add before we adjourn? Feel good? Okay.
Happy to see you here, Susie. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
happy to be here.
We'll have to bug Mark about coming in his costume and then disappearing.
Seriously.
Yeah, somebody give Mark a Zoom tutorial before next meeting.
To tell him, please use something resembling a real name so we don't think you're,
I feel like there's a story behind that nickname we need to
I
hear.
want to know about
hear
his
it. I
Siam
want to know
nickname.
that story.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I feel like we had some weirdo coming in his jammies, so,
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Well, if there are no objections, I'll adjourn the meeting at
Alice has to
8:21.
move to do that, right?
Yes, I would like to move to adjourn the meeting at 8:21 p.m.
I will second that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
the
you
minutes
all.
reflect.
We got you out in time for your meeting, Susie. So.
Thanks,
guys.
Susie. Nice to meet
Take a
you.
9-minute break.
Woo!
Thanks. Woo.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Nancy. Great
Take care,
job.
everybody. Stay
Stay
healthy.
well. Yeah, take care.